Hi, good morning, everyone. This is exciting. First annual meeting for me in person as senior warden and with vestry. And thank you, Amy, for the recap of last year. I wanted to briefly give a recap of what the vestry worked on last year, and I'll try to be brief. Have you ever noticed when people say they're going to be brief, they're not? I will. I'll say there's just going to be two things. So the vestry had two main goals last year, and one of them was to oversee the regathering, as we came back into church and into events and into service. And then the other one was to oversee a successful time of sabbatical while Reverend Amy was on sabbatical. So not in our report, and I don't know if Holly Hewson's here, but she met with us the last 2 years as a vestry to help us. Is she there? Hi, Holly. Hi. So Holly is a gifted and talented moderator and guide and voice of wisdom. So she sat with us the last 2 years to help us refine what our goals are, our vision, and a plan for getting there. And so that's been instrumental in feeling successful and I think being successful. So thank you, Holly, for those. So quickly back to the goals. Thank you for helping us get there. The first one, regathering, we have vaccines and medicine to thank for that. So without that, we probably wouldn't have been successful coming together. And then the parish and everyone coming together. It took, I think we learned some effort to start a new routine, to come back to church, to come back to events. So thank you, everyone, at your pace, doing what you need to do, and the people that stay online. It's so wonderful to have this expansion of our services. On the second one, the vestry and a lot of volunteers put time into reorganizing our office and our administration. And we have just an amazing staff that put in a lot of time and thoughtful work. And then I'm not sure how successful we would have felt if Bishop Allen hadn't been such a perfect fit for us. That was just God's gift to him and to us. And then I think the last part of God's favor was filling Reverend Amy with a healing spirit. You just don't know the timeline for when you're going to feel renewed, and it's just really a blessing that she was able to come back to us, full of life and vision, and leading us into this next year. So that was 2022, a mix of good thinking and God's grace. So it's been a pleasure to work on vestry on those. So that's it. Hopefully that was brief. We're going to move in then to some business portion of the agenda. What's behind me? Okay, so the next piece, we want to approve the minutes from our meeting last year, and these are distributed to you on pages 39 and 40, the last 2 pages of your annual report. You're going to have to speed read because I'm going to call for any corrections if you haven't pre-read that. So how we're going to do, we have 3 votes coming up. We're going to vote by acclamation, and that is by a show of hands. So I would like to call quickly any corrections on the minutes. Okay, I see none. Then with a show of hands, can we please take a vote to receive those minutes from last year? Okay. And our wonderful clerk is here, and we'll take it for the record that the minutes for this meeting have been received. Sorry, for last year's meeting have been received. That's it. Thank you. Your first vote. 1 down. Okay, so now the next portion is acknowledging our outgoing vestry, our outgoing officers. Amy's mentioned this in her report, but we had a pretty unusual year coming through 2022 where 4 officers were rotating off. So we want to acknowledge that as well as outgoing vestry. Are you interrupting me now while I'm interrupted?
Here I come.
Okay.
I warned her I was going to interrupt her. So this has just been such a privilege. It is unusual now we have 3.5. Yeah. So Mike Moffitt has stepped in as an interim junior warden last year, and will continue for another year. So we'll be voting Mike into a vacant 1-year position, so he can continue that work, and we're so appreciative. But Bob, can I have you come up here? Bob Cantrell, he's like, really? Bob stepped in to just it was a crazy, crazy time, and stepped in to support Grant as junior warden for a whole year as an assistant junior warden, and then continued in that role for 2 more years. And Bob, I just am so incredibly grateful. We're all so incredibly grateful. And want to thank you and acknowledge you for your
There's Kleenex right there.
Yeah, we got Kleenex. We're good. We got you covered. Susan Calkin is here.
Is she?
Is she? She's not bad. Yeah, she is. We saw her come in. We pulled her out of the atrium. Susan Calkin is somebody who is involved in so many different things. She couldn't even be here because she's upstairs with our kids. She's connected to our Spanish ministries and participates there. She coordinates our worship ministries. You'll see a report from her in your annual meeting report. And she now is going to coordinate our lectures at 10 a.m. too. So in absentia, we'll give her this when we see her, but let's thank Susan Calkin for her work and her leadership. Leslie, could I have you come up here, please? Wow. Yeah, this is a situation where, you know, the box, we sometimes say the box is the present, the bag is the present. There's also a few things in the bag. But the thing that I wanted to mention when I think about the 2 of these women, just the word that comes to mind is self-sacrificial service. They have given of themselves for the last 3 years with incredible love, and from what they had to give, from the overflowing talent and strength and gifts and knowledge that they had, but also even in the moments when they probably felt like they didn't have any more to give. They were still there giving. And we couldn't have not only gotten through these last 3 years, but gotten through them and been in such a stronger place, reconnected, renewed with all of our processes, not only online, but also in line, lined up, I don't know, our ducks in a row, Leslie, how would we say it, without the 2 of them. And before you explode in applause for them, I have to say that, so I had a treasurer at my last church who was one of those treasurers who, you know, you kept saying 1 more year, and she kept saying, all right, 1 more year. So she had served previously under my predecessor at that church, and my predecessor at that church had told her, and she would repeat this often to me, that as a treasurer or a senior warden, you got extra stars in your crown in heaven. So just to recognize and represent that today, I have for the 2 of you, and please don them, your crowns with plenty of stars. Oh, and here's your present. You know, take your bag.
Leslie,
this is yours.
Oh, this is me. Oh, I just love it.
Here you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you need to keep that on for your report too. Yeah. And then I want to just mention briefly that y'all might have heard a call come out a couple weeks ago. We tried to keep the slight note of desperation out of our voices. We said, we just still need another treasurer. And Jörg Ogenfuss stepped forward. We are so very, very grateful that you're bringing your expertise and skills as a CFO to this role, and are really, really excited to work with you in the finance department. You might remember from previous years that we have voted in the treasurer at this annual meeting. Upon a closer reading of the bylaws, it's actually a meeting of the vestry just after this annual meeting that elects those officers. So you'll be official at about 11:30, Jörg. But in the meantime, thank you so much for stepping up. And thank you also to Alexander Hassep, who, as Sarah's mentioned, has also stepped up to be our vestry clerk this year. Thank you to both of you.
Would you mind standing up? Because I can't see Jörg. But then there's Alexander. Oh. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Hello. He's got his own corner. And Alexander, thank you. Alexander actually has been attending vestry meetings since November and has already started So we haven't had an official, I don't think, welcome here in church, and you've just been an absolute lifesaver. Thank you so much. Our former clerk, Jamie, moved to Nevada in November, so we had an early opening, and you just jumped right in. And yes, I have your notes. I will review them. At first glance, they were beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Amy, for introducing everyone. And Leslie said while we were up here, it was kind of fun. Those are great parting words. That's 20/20 hindsight for sure. No, we did have a little fun. All right, so what do I have? I might have a couple more, no more comments. You covered it, thank you. All right. All right, so now we're going to take our next vote. Am I doing this right? Yes, this is for our the election of our vestry slate. I did want to mention that the normal term for a vestry member is 3 years. We had 2 people that stepped down early, so we have the opportunity then of 2 one-year slots. So that's why we have 5 members up here, not 3. 3 are normal term, and 3 are one-year term. And as mentioned, Mike Moffitt is ending his 3-year term and adding a 4th year, thank you, to be our junior warden and fill that slot. The other one-year term, we decided to try something different. This is a really great idea from Bishop Allen, and we have a member from our youth group coming on, and that's Zoe Shellhorn. Zoe, are you here? I haven't seen you yet either. Yay, hi. Zoe, stand up. Oh, you are. I'm just kidding, hi. Thank you, Zoe. So they're gonna have, you could sit down, thank you, yeah. So that's why these are one-year terms, and we're just really delighted. It gives this vestry a range of ages from 81 to 18, and it's a really exciting 9-person vestry, very diverse in experience, age, opinions, hopefully as well. So that's why there's 5 up here, if that makes sense. And then, of course, amazing veterans of our church filling out the other 3 positions. If you don't know them, hopefully this gives you an opportunity too, because as Amy mentioned, these are the kind of people you run into in town and you're like, wow, how did they get to be like that? Yes, please stand up. Phil Baxter and Genevieve Schlingen and Diane LeBlanc, please. And then while we have it, thank you, Mike Moffitt. And Zoe, go ahead and stand up again. I missed it. Zoe, would you stand up again, and we'll have all 5 of the vestry slate standing. Thank you. So again, we're going to move forward with, Diane, if you're comfortable, you can keep standing. We'll make this quick. So again, we're going to vote by acclamation to elect this vestry slate, and so that will just be by a show of hands. So could I please get a show of hands at this time to elect this vestry? Thank you. What a wonderful attendance and showing. Congratulations. For the record, that vestry slate has been received, and thank you in advance for your service, and we're also lucky to have you. Thank you very much. One more vote? No? Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. The next vote is the election of our delegates to the Diocesan Convention, and let's see, the names are up here. You can see them. I'll go ahead and read them. And if you're here, please stand up. Diana Dean, I saw you in the corner back there. Maria Gallegos, Ramon Gallegos, are you guys here? Holly Hewson up in the balcony. Ken Mall, thank you. And Sandra Sheffield, if you're here. Again, in a vote by acclamation, myself, I'm here. With a show of hands, can we please vote for this delegates for the convention? Great. Okay, that was widely approved. So thank you to all of us in advance. And Ken, I'm going to need your experience on this. I've done it many times before. Thank you. All right, thank you. That's the end of our votes. Thank you as a parish for attending, for participating, for caring, and for attending and loving grace and God. Before I hop off the stage, I wanted to bring up Genevieve Schlingen, who will be our next senior warden. And she's going to say a couple words. But first, Jen, we were wondering, what can I hand off to Jen? Here, come on up. There's no scepter. There's no secret handshake. We should make one for senior wardens.
There's a hug.
There's hugs. But I was thinking, Jen said, what's something that got you through this? So I have a couple things for you. As senior warden, you will need these. You need big eyes to see what's being done and who is doing it.
Wow.
Thank you. You will need big ears for the listening.
Oh, love it.
You need a big heart. And you need a big God.
Yes. Yes.
Which is smaller than the ears somehow. Jen comes equipped with all of these already, by the way, so it's just for looks. And then next year you can have the crown. All right, thanks, Jen. Welcome.
I just wanted to say thank you. I feel extremely blessed, grateful, and honored for this invitation to serve alongside Reverend Amy and you as a congregation. And with that, I'd like to humbly accept this invitation and be that faithful steward of Grace, this beloved Grace Church that we all love for you. And that's my promise to you all, is to be that faithful steward. And I am here to be that person for everybody. So, and thank you, because I will need all of this. And I get to be silly at the same time.
Okay, and I think for Erica, thank you.
All right, and while we're being silly and having
gonna set this
fun,
over here.
and thank you, and making a huge difference along the same lines, we're going to invite Erica Muller, our veteran 16-year youth and now children's ministry and formation director, to share her report.
Good morning. I have a slideshow that I put together that will be playing behind me so you can have some visuals on our 2022 year. As Amy mentioned, a year ago, we were still in COVID land, and we started out our January still meeting in hybrid and outside and things like that. A little bit later, we developed our multi-age atrium. We moved things down from the upstairs rooms and put them all in the Newton room so we could have a bigger space that would serve children from 3 all the way through 6th grade. We also, in the early years, started gardening, kind of out of necessity for something to do outdoors, and also under the incredible guidance of Joanna Normoyle, our then children's ministry assistant, who is a professional farmer. And no pun intended, that garden grew, and the seeds that we planted developed into what is now our Good News Garden, which also served as a summer program for our children and is continuing as a program alongside our atrium and goes right alongside the same name, Good News Garden, that Brian Sellers Peterson is working with the Episcopal Church doing, and he came here, and just all these wonderful kind of organic things happening. Gail Davies is now on staff as children's ministry assistant and is shepherding that garden very faithfully. We got a grant that's supporting some funding for the garden. So that's probably my favorite thing from 2022, is just seeing that, again, bloom and grow. You cannot just underplay the garden jokes here. So the youth group finally got out of the state of California on a mission trip for the first time in 2 years. In June, we went to Colorado Springs, served the community there under the guidance of Next Step Ministries, our very long-time ministry partners. And this June, we're getting out of the country for the first time since 2017, I think. And we're headed to Taizé, France. So that's going to be awesome. In the fall, we returned to our atrium rooms, which were time capsules from February 2020. Everything was like purple from Lent, and it was super weird, and all the plants were dead. But The children were extremely excited to return to their prepared spaces. The catechists, Sandy Baxter, Susan Calkin, and our newest catechist, Maria Phelps, really just took ownership over preparing those spaces and renewing them for the children. And it's just been such a gift to have that long standing catechesis program to be continued in the richness of the leadership that we have now. We've got 5 new families who joined the program this year, just in children's ministry, and in youth group we've got a couple of siblings that have come on to be part of the group, so we continue to grow and get new people. And I always say I could never do this work without my volunteers. I am actually rarely leading program these days. I get to really direct and coordinate and fill in the gaps, but Melissa Matheny Munoz, Genevieve Schlangen, Michael Roche, my husband Matthias Mueller are my faithful youth leaders, and I've already recruited a few new ones for this coming transition. So we are rich with gifts here, and it's just an honor to have shepherded this program for so long, and especially in all the craziness of the last couple of years, but 2022 was a great year. And now I'm going to sing you a song about it. I don't remember when we started this. I think probably when Amy came, we're like, let's make the annual meeting exciting. So we've done skits and worn costumes and sung song parodies, so I have another one for you today. I will tell you, it's maybe not my most amazing work, but I think it will be entertaining. I started writing a different one, and it turned into like a look back of 16 years of youth ministry, and I was like, I'll save that for later. So we're not going to do all that today. Just got to get my key here. All right, so the chorus is California Dreamin' and Grace Church is okay. You can join in on that. All the leaves were brown and the sky was gray. We started off our year still zooming away. Then we got safe and warm. COVID crept away, kind of. California dreamin', and Grace Church is okay. Started digging dirt, we talked along the way. And we got down on our knees, and we began to pray. You know we really like our garden, planning for it to stay. California dreamin', and Grace Church is okay. Mission trips abound, Colorado now to Zay. Youth group likes to talk, and sometimes even pray. And I had to tell you, but I won't leave today. California dreamin', and Grace Church is okay. California dreamin', and Grace Church is okay. California dreamin', and Grace Church is okay. Put that in the job description for my successor. Song parody.
Song parody definitely goes in the job description. And next, we're going to hear from Grace Outreach. Coming up, Carrie. Thank you.
That's a tough one to follow. I don't have a song, I'm sorry. All right, we'll have some slides showing some things that we've done this year as I'm chatting away up here. So this is the annual report for 2022. It was a wonderful year. If you'll recall, early in 2022, the Ukraine war began, and Grace Church jumped into action. Grace Outreach got the congregation and the community to donate $10,000, and Go added $5,000, sending a total of $15,000 to the Episcopal Relief and Development, who was on the ground in Ukraine and surrounding countries helping refugees. That's how we started our year. Abode Services works with our homeless population in Napa County, helping them get off the streets and into housing. Go donated $3,000 to provide 6 beds for these apartments. We then participated in a program called Welcome Home, where we collected items, many of you helped out with this, donated by the congregation, which were basic necessities such as pots and pans and beddings and things that they would need. Grace Outreach brought back the rummage sale. It had a totally different look, yes, but it was a wonderful day and the first of many. For some time, Diane LeBlanc was suggesting to the Outreach Committee that we should bring back the rummage sale. She sat down and wrote a business plan, and we made it happen. We sold booths for $25 each for people to bring their goods to sell. We asked for a minimum of 10% of the proceeds from each sale. We had a total of 22 booths, so $500, and we received $2,200 in proceeds. Not bad for our first year. Up Valley Family Centers and COAD were our 2 recipients of the funds raised. Go voted to match the income, so we were able to give each organization $3,189. But even more successful than the money part was a sense of community. It was a fun, upbeat day, bringing many community members to Grace Church to see what we were all doing. The Adopt a Family program served a total, so we just did this, it served a total of 50 families from St. Helena and Calistoga. Each family received gift cards from either Target, Walmart, Safeway, or Visa gift cards packaged in festive baskets, containers, containing holiday treats, activities, toys, and decorations. So this year, Adopt a Family continued the fundraising program that we started a couple years ago during COVID. We've changed the whole format of this to a digital marketing platform, expanding markets campaigns beyond our church. So not only we appealed to the church, but got out into the community. And in total, we raised $11,630 to be able to give to our adopters and donors. So it was a really successful year, and we already have ideas for next year. Baby Love gave the following to homeless and low-income mothers and babies via Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, San Francisco Homeless Prenatal Program, Birth Companions Community Center, Olay Health Napa, and Adopt a Family. 104 blankets, 133 quilts, 38 hand-knit crocheted baby blankets, 442 crocheted hats, 414 bags of toiletries, and 18 other items such as stuffed animals. So when you read the full report, they did even more than that. I'm just trying to kind of condense everything, but it's amazing what was all given out. It's wonderful. Bubara, Uganda. So in 2022, Go Give contributed $5,186 for the Grace Church Scholarship students and another $5,246 from our church and community for other sponsored students. Over the 20 years that we've been doing this program, we have sponsored 72 girls to attend university. Except for the 9 still in school, all have graduated. In 2022, 3 graduated from Bishop Barnum University: Alice Grace, I'm only reading first names, Alice Grace, Felicity, and Trucy. And Alice is now attending graduate school, studying for her Master's of English Literature. In 2022, our Go Scholarship was for Angela, who previously qualified but had not received a scholarship, so she was thrilled to be able to give a second chance and be able to go to college. Of the graduates that we know, there are 11 who have become teachers, 2 at the university level, 6 work for NGOs, 14 are in business, 1 is a senior midwife, 1 is a journalist, and 4 are civil servants. So you can see this program has just helped them get, as they call it, out of the dust and into the world. Up Valley Family Services once again saw an uptick in requests for rent assistance, food, and gas money for low-income residents. Go sent $5,000 to help with this effort. Rianda House Senior Center has been such an important program for our senior community. Longtime director Julie Spencer retired, and they welcomed a new leader, Maury Robertson. As COVID restrictions began to lift, they started to offer in-person activities once again. We were able to send them $5,000 this year. We received some sad news this year about our longtime partner, Clinica Verde, of which GO was part of the seed money and planning. The Nicaraguan government completely shut down most nonprofit organizations. In its 15 years, they have helped over 250,000 residents with medical needs. All employees were terminated, and the beautiful building now sits vacant. We're heartbroken about that. Rise Against Hunger is a program in which food is packaged and sent to third world countries. Because of COVID, we were not able to plan an in-person meeting, but we did send $1,500 and asked for it to be used in Ukraine. And on a side note, we just planned an in-person Rise Against Hunger program for this year, so stay tuned for information on that. On Palm Sunday, April 2nd, right? Yeah. Our Orphans and Underserved Children's Ministry is still serving the needs of others in spite of our closing the 2 Grace Transitional Homes for orphan teens in Russia 4 years ago. The current focus has been the continuation of support for the Twinumajuni Orphanage in Uganda, where they have helped for over 10 years now. The original support was focused on capital improvement projects. For the past few years, the focus has been to aid the ongoing education of the orphans. In 2022 alone, the ministry donated $9,000 for tuition support. The team has also provided emergency support in May for the residents of the village of Santa Helenita in Nicaragua. They sent $500 to aid in the purchase of foodstuffs and cleaning supplies to needy families in that village. We donated twice to the International Rescue Committee. In spring, we sent $4,250 to sponsor 2 Afghanistan families for 4 months. And later in the year, we sent another $1,000 knowing that they had an influx of Ukrainian refugees. The Thanksgiving Meals on Wheels program resumed this year after a hiatus of COVID. Parishioners prepared food and delivered to 25 folks in the Upper Napa Valley, and we look forward to expanding that even more this year. Our Town St. Helena is an organization which helps provide affordable housing. GO donated $1,000 to help with this effort. Hearts and Hands Preschool at St. Luke's in Calistoga has been struggling the last few years with COVID and the fires, keeping staff and everything going. This year, GO was able to send $5,000 to assist them with their programs. Kairos Prison Ministry was able to resume in-person programming for the first time in a couple of years. A group of men go into the prison twice a year for worship with the inmates. GO sends a grant of $1,000 annually. Napa Firewise is an organization whose mission is to reduce the fire fuel load in Napa County and to help our communities be firewise and fire smart through mitigation and education. GO sent $1,000 to assist in these important community efforts. So it has been quite a year. At this point, we've decided to actually continue meeting on Zoom. We actually found it's a little easier for everybody to get together. We look forward to the year ahead. We welcome anyone who would like to join us, and we can't wait to see what God calls us to help. Thank you so much.
And last but not least, almost last but not least, our bespangled outgoing treasurer, Leslie, to give us a financial report. And for those who don't know, the Grace Church's commitment to budgetary giving to outreach makes a lot of this outreach possible, and I feel like it really leverages the giving of our congregation and our wider community, as you've seen in Carrie's report. So thank you for those who steward those funds so well and so wisely. And speaking of stewarding funds.
Hello, thank you so much. I began my letter to you in the packet saying we survived COVID. And I'm kind of sad that I don't have a lot of fun pictures to share with you. It's kind of a different role, and I guess that's why they put me near the end. But I have had the privilege of being, I guess I'll always think of myself as your COVID treasurer. I also became your Zoom treasurer. And I was thinking this morning how very strange it is to talk with you directly, because my last 2 reports were to you via Zoom. It's a real different experience. But we Zoomed really well, and that was probably one of our greatest capabilities. As things began to fall apart, your finance committee began to come together. And I think probably one of the most important things that we had last year was what I call staff effectiveness. We had reorganized in 2021, and in 2022, we received all the benefits of that reorganization. And that combined with the lucky bringing in of a very talented bishop to join our team and help shepherd us through, and then bringing Reverend Amy back with wonderful energy, we had an incredibly effective year. The team worked well together, everybody knew what needed to be done, and we did it. And that efficiency is really important in the running of a church, being just as and not just efficient, but effective. We were effective. We've had steady giving, and one of the things that, the big calls that I got in my first year of treasurer is, well, how do I get my money to you? And my answer was, I don't know. You could put it in the mailbox, and it was very challenging. But I thank you, over the last 3 years, over 30% of our giving is now on our digital platform called Realm, and we make it easy for you to give, to change it, to do anything you want with it. So everybody is able to do that effectively, and about 30% of our giving is now done on Realm. Yet we continue, pledge plate, fundraising continue to be solid in the steady giving area. We had a growth in repair and maintenance expenses, and Bob and his team created building appraisals and a reserve study of our capital requirements for the next 10 years. And now Michael and his team have a plan in place, and funds are budgeted for the needed repairs, and a plan is in place. As you all know, as a property starts to become 20 years old, you find that repairs aren't kind of steady. It gets really expensive as you go along. And it's going to get really expensive out there. And we're just starting to see it with the heating system this year. We saw a few things last year. So there is a plan in place to see if we can aggregate the funds to help support taking good care of this beautiful property that we own. Ken and the diocese worked on getting a diocesan-wide risk assessment project going. It was initiated by Ken and Grace, and we are identifying risks that congregations experience, and it's not just fire and flood. It's a lot of other things that have to do with our physical security. But a plan is being developed for helping us to know about those risks and be trained to deal with them should they ever happen. And I think you can. The facility rental income is up. Puerta Abierta, our Spanish-speaking congregation in town, has joined our facility and loves being here. And that rental income plus our ongoing event and kitchen rental income has made a big impact. You'll see a note in the treasurer's report. We applied for the employee retention tax credit, and we'll be receiving a refund of $120,000 for retaining our employees during the early years of COVID. And then the final is probably the greatest challenge that we face this year is our investment portfolio challenge. And in 2022, it was a challenging year. We do have a professional investment manager who has worked very hard to mitigate the damages done in the market in 2022. It is in good hands with David Moreland, who is our liaison to our investment manager, and we will continue to review our asset allocation with our manager and our investment policy and make sure that we are doing everything correct. So, as you know from the highlights, I just said that, frankly, I didn't do anything. You know, when you really look at it, I didn't do a thing. Marshall Cox, our controller, runs our books and manages all of the digital side of our life. Our vestry liaisons, who were Michael Moffett and John Sales last year, boy, their contribution in the buildings and grounds area is incredible. Ken Mall manages risk management for us. Diana Dean is our financial secretary and handles everything in the world of giving. And David Moreland is the investment manager liaison. And so that team has all agreed to go forward in 2023, and we only need 2 more things. Along with Jörg Ogenfuss, and Ogenfuss, excuse me, is going to be wonderful as treasurer, and I think he's going to have a good time with this team. We're looking for 2 at-large members of the church to join the finance committee. And you don't need to be a CPA or accountant or frankly much of anything other than somebody who's kind of interested in the business of the church. And we really need 2 more of you to step up and serve in our coming year, please. Okay, so now we go to my pictures. Not very fun. Okay. The highlight of 2022 was beating all of our financial expectations. December of over a year ago, we sent the vestry a budget with a $50,000 deficit, and we told them that actually we expected it to be double or triple that. But I talked about the effectiveness of our staff, both lay and paid staff, and we significantly beat the odds. The team came together and we reduced that deficit to $25,000, and that was an incredible accomplishment. We received $485,000 from 117 families, as well as some generous designated gifts. The costs of maintaining our physical plant continue to increase. We have increased usage. For 2 years, we didn't have to heat and air condition this place. We didn't wear out the carpeting and the heating system, and now we are using it fully, and that takes funds. And we also have our repairs and the maintenance that's coming down the line. And we came back to a full year of active programs for adult, youth, and children. So all of the things that you've been hearing about have expense implications, and I thank you for the generosity that you have given to Grace to help shepherd us through all of these needs to have this beautiful church that we have. The statement of financial position, also known as a balance sheet, probably the most significant impact on the balance sheet this year was the fact that we had a significant loss in our investment funds. And I feel it was minimized, but it still happened, although if truth be told, the prior 3 or 4 years, we made so much money in our investment portfolio, it was ridiculous. So we really aren't down. We really are at par. and earning a nice steady income over the years. Is that statement of financial position? Yeah. Okay. Okay, it is in your paper, I did look. And then what we call sunshine funds, our reserve funds, are currently stand at $577,000, and they cover 70% of our budgeted needs. So we continue to have more reserves than the vestry has designated for us to hold in reserve, which is 50% of our budgeted needs. And then finally, I will leave you with the budget for 2023. Our 2023 budgeted expenses of $819,000 is very comparable to 2022. So in spite of really significant inflation, we are really holding our costs. And I thank everybody who works to make that happen. Grants, fundraising events, and rentals have been identified as well for $185,000. And so between our giving and those other items, we have a covered budget with a little bit of a profit, a couple $1,000s of profit. So I'm very optimistic about 2023, and I thank you for the opportunity to have been your Zoom and COVID treasurer. Thank you.
Last but not least, Diana Dean is going to share with us a little bit about where we are with our giving and the gift that actually is to all of us in our discipleship.
Thank you, Amy. What an amazing meeting so far. It's amazing how much this church actually accomplishes. And so as I was on my walk this morning, as many of you know, I do that sometimes, I came across this passage that's for us today. And it says, it's from Hebrews 10:24, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." And so that's my job today. I'm here to say not only thank you for everyone who's been up here speaking and talking about the life of the church, but really thank you for each and every one of you for your incredible faithfulness to our Lord Jesus Christ and God our Father through all the things that you do, both coming to worship, also how you've served. I don't know anyone in this community that doesn't do something to bring life to the community, to give, to pray, to do all those things. And we see this, as has already been said, most faithfully in our personal giving to the work of the Lord here through Grace Church. I had an interesting time with a rector up the road the other day, and we talked about giving. And he said, you know, it's a matter of faith. And he had been difficult about some things in his life. He was struggling with something, and then he decided, I don't want to be difficult about that. That too is a matter of faith, and it had to do with money. And the thing is that I absolutely can't stand money. I hate working with it. I hate counting it. I'm not an accountant, and so I end up in these roles. I just don't get it. But the truth is, it's because it's not about money, it's about faith. And those are the things that I'm here to say is, we are here to be stewards of this place, in this time, in this century, right? This is our job. One thing that's coming up, if you're not aware, in 3 years, we're going to be celebrating our 150th anniversary as a church. There's a lot of work and thought about that that's been going into place. How can we maintain this building? You're going to hear more in the next 2 or 3 years about what we call our Sustaining Grace Initiative and a Sustaining Grace Permanent Fund set up to really manage the next 40 or 50 years, and really 150 years of the church. But more importantly today, as you think about your giving, think of it as giving to the Lord's work. Whatever your needs are, we all have them, right? I have a lot. Giving is difficult, at least for me. It may be easy for some of you, but it's not so easy for me. It requires from me real prayer, real faith, and some sacrifice in ways that take a stretch out of my own heart. So that's what I'm asking for you to do today, is consider your giving for 2023. Make a sacrificial gift for the Lord's work as you see fit. Thank you.